The Conjuring movie franchise, along with the Annabelle series and The Nun, were all a product of true encounters by the infamous paranormal investigating couple, Edward and Lorraine Warren. Even though it was briefly shown, they were also one of the first investigators for another well-known haunting, which was the Amityville Horror, and one you may not have known was the Haunting in Connecticut case, which gained 2 movies, but the Warrens were not mentioned in it. Devoted members of the Roman Catholic Church, they claim to have investigated over 10,000 paranormal-related cases in their lifetime. The couple announced themselves as educators and gave lectures about demonology in hopes it would teach their students to not attempt to provoke such evil. Sadly, the Warrens have both passed, but they leave a legacy behind. In their home is housed a small museum of every haunted artifact that they've gathered throughout their lifetime. They kept these in their home where they would be safe from harming anyone. Even though it has now become an attraction that you can visit, it is warned not to touch anything or mock anything in that room, as the objects are very much still haunted by whatever spirit, demon, or entity is trapped in them. These are 5 of the creepiest artifacts in the Warren Museum. In Annabelle Comes Home, there is a scene in which Daniela, the friend of Mary who is babysitting Judy Warren, enters the haunted room and grabs a bracelet that has a locket to put a picture in. The girl puts a photo of her deceased father in, and creepy things begin to happen. However, Spera, who is the son-in-law of the Warrens, says there is no such item like that, but states they could have been referring to the necklace named Pearls of Death. A woman was given this necklace, and upon wearing it, she felt like something was pulling the necklace and attempting to strangle her. It took people around her to yank the necklace off in order to save her. While there is not much to go on about the story and the deeper origins of the item, it is still very scary that a simple necklace can have the power to strangle someone. The Warrens found something a little too close to home when a very oddly shaped doll was found in the woods of Sandy Hook, Connecticut. A man who encountered it first was on a walk when he saw it lying on the ground in the woods. He's said to have felt it weakening him as if it was taking his strength from him, and apparently saw a man in a black robe right after seeing it. Lorraine said herself it was one of the most horrible artifacts she's encountered and says it may have been used in a satanic ritual. Once placed in the home, it began causing chaos for the Warrens for a couple of days. In my honest opinion, what would such a strange looking figure like this be doing in the woods if it wasn't up to any good? Ed and Lorraine were called to investigate a man named Mr. Zellner, seeking help from the Catholic Church, who had horrible things happen in his home, to which he said he believed his mirror was making these things happen. Objects being thrown abruptly, loud noises at night, a presence in his home that was evil. The reason for this haunting was because Mr. Zellner used this mirror for black magic. He performed the rituals that would invite the spirit world to assist him in manipulating the future, and after many trials he got exactly that. Mr. Zellner used this mirror to cause harm upon people he didn't like by seeing their future in the mirror and imagining some type of hurt being done to them, whether it occurred the next day, week, month, or year. However, those same spirits that assisted him turned on him and would do the exact same thing to him. Ed performed the reverse ritual to what Mr. Zellner had done to cause this in the first place, and even though they experienced trouble driving the mirror back to Connecticut, they were able to bring it home for safekeeping. This doll is very unpleasant looking and is said to be made up of human bones, along with its nails and teeth consisting of animal parts as well. It was crafted during a ritual for evil purposes. The creator's intention was to spread a curse to people that they wanted to harm. Their way of executing this was taking a photo of the doll and sending it out to the people. At first, the people who received the photo of the doll laughed it off as a joke, but unfortunately, the doll would later appear in the victim's dreams, and the nightmare would be so terrifying that it would cause the victims to have a heart attack. It is unknown how the doll managed to get in the hands of a merchant, and then was later sold to some collectors. But when the collectors brought the doll into their home, they would have nightmares about her daily and wake up with scratches all over them, some scratches resembling a claw. These collectors later contacted the Warrens to take the doll away, and it's been in the possession of the Warrens ever since. The doll is said to be so powerful that if anyone destroys it, the spirits would bring misfortune and fear to whoever did it. What's interesting to me is that the Warrens have a coffin amongst their collection, to which they claim that this coffin was used by a modern-day vampire. However, there isn't any more information about it except that they have it. What do you guys think? Along with their ghostly possessions, did they manage to catch a real vampire coffin? Or is this a heavily blown rumor? Let me know in the comments below. For anyone familiar with the La Llorona film in 2019, you'll know that in the movie, there is a flashback with Father Perez holding the Annabelle doll, tying it into the Conjuring universe. While many saw this as an Easter egg or fan service to horror fans, others believe that the Warrens had possibly dealt with La Llorona as one of their cases. There is also a scene in the movie, Annabelle Homecoming, where a white wedding dress can be seen on a mannequin, adding more fuel to the fire. As much as this would be an awesome truth for horror and paranormal goers, it is just a rumor. There is a completely different tale behind the white dress that resides in the Warrens' home. However, many still stick to the theory that La Llorona's dress resides in the Warren Museum. Of course, the most haunted item in the Warren Museum goes to the Annabelle doll. The real Annabelle doll might not look as intimidating as the doll's portrayal in the films. However, it has a sinister backstory. In 1970, the doll was given to a 28-year-old nurse as a birthday gift from her mother. The doll's odd behavior started when it would be placed somewhere and its positions would change. Sometimes it would change into it sitting with its legs crossed when it clearly wasn't placed that way. Later on, the activity would increase as the owner would begin to find little notes on parchment paper around the home that looked like it was written by a child. The notes would read, "Help us," or "Help me." Not only were the notes unnerving, but there was never any parchment paper in the home to begin with, the family claims. The doll would even appear in different rooms and would even sometimes leak blood. A friend who spent the night at the home took a nap and claims when he woke up the doll was staring at him. The doll then climbed on top of him and tried to strangle him to death. He had scratch marks on his upper body after this. The owner believed that the doll was possessed by a little girl that died on that property before the apartments were built. The little girl's name was Annabelle Higgins. She died at the age of 7. Feeling bad, the owner decided to not get rid of the doll. When the Warrens got involved and investigated, they concluded that the doll was not possessed by a little girl that wanted to live with them. They believed that the doll itself was not possessed but was being manipulated by an inhuman presence. On the Warrens' website, which documents some of their investigations, it states, Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host. When the Warrens took the doll, they said the doll had possessed the vehicle to lose control, causing the brakes to go out and the car to swerve in an attempt to kill the Warrens on their way home. They had to throw holy water on the doll for it to calm down. She now sits in a glass container at the Warrens Museum. Once when a priest visited the Warrens and held the doll, Ed warned the priest not to mock her, and the priest laughed it off. On his way home, he was unfortunately involved in a near-fatal car accident, and he claims that he saw the Annabelle doll in his rearview mirror right before the accident. Another man visited the museum and repeatedly tapped on the glass, laughing at Annabelle. On his way home, he crashed his motorcycle, dying instantly, while his girlfriend, who was on the motorcycle with him, barely survived. She claimed that before the crash, they were both joking about the Annabelle doll. There are many more items in the Warrens museums that come with creepy stories, but these were the few that I found that were worth talking about. It's amazing that incredibly haunted artifacts are stored away, but all for good reasoning. Do you think all these objects are haunted and that Ed and Lorraine were able to save people from evil by keeping them locked away? Or is this a big hoax that skeptics claim is all for profit and attention? I hope you enjoyed this video and you have a great day.